I'm Corey Proffitt-Boyd, and this is Say It Anyway.
Say it anyway with Corey Proffitt-Boyd. Say it anyway. Say it anyway with Corey Proffitt-Boyd. Say it anyway.
Welcome back to Say It Anyway. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. Whether you're listening on your way to work, taking a walk, or maybe you're hiding in your car for 5 minutes of peace before you go inside, I'm really glad you're here. Today's episode started with a simple question that I asked myself a few weeks ago, and the more I thought about it, the more uncomfortable the answer became. If someone watched how I spent my time, instead of listening to what I said was important, would they come to the same conclusion? I don't know about you, but that question made me stop for a minute. Most of us don't have any trouble naming the things we value most. We would probably say our family, our closest friends, our health, and the people who have stood beside us through every season of life. We believe those things with all our hearts. I don't think we're lying when we say them. But believing something is important and making time for it aren't always the same thing. Somewhere along the way, our schedules quietly become the story of our lives. We wake up thinking about everything that has to be accomplished before the day is over, and before we know it, we're answering emails and making phone calls and paying bills, trying to keep the house from falling apart, and convincing ourselves that tomorrow will be a little less hectic than today. Then tomorrow arrives looking almost exactly like yesterday. The truth is, I don't think any of us intentionally neglect the people we love. I don't think we wake up in the morning hoping to spend less time with our families. Quite the opposite, actually. Most of the things that keep us busy are things we're doing because we love our families. We work hard because we want to provide. We stay late because we're trying to build a better future. We juggle responsibilities because we want the people we love to have a comfortable life. And those are good and admirable things. But somewhere in all of that responsibility, it's easy to accidentally convince ourselves that providing for the people we love is the same thing as being present with the people we love. Those aren't always the same thing. As I've gotten older, I've started realizing that the people who matter most don't usually remember everything you bought for them. They remember how they felt when they were with you. They remember the conversations around the dinner table, the jokes that became family traditions, the road trips, and the evenings when nothing extraordinary happened, except everybody was together. It's interesting, isn't it? We spend so much of our lives chasing these moments that we sometimes overlook the ordinary ones, even though those moments are usually the ones that stay with us longest. I know we've talked about that in other episodes. I want to talk about it a little bit differently today. And it's not because I feel like I've gotten all the answers since last time we talked about it. I've certainly not mastered this myself. Honestly, I'm talking about it because I need the reminder just as much as anyone listening. The problem is that life doesn't automatically leave room for what matters most. If we don't intentionally make space for our family, work will gladly take every available hour we have. Responsibilities don't know when to stop, and neither do the notifications that buzz in our pockets every 5 minutes, reminding us of one more thing that needs our attention. It's almost as if the world rewards us for staying busy, while quietly stealing the very moments we tell ourselves we're working so hard to protect. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't believe there's anything wrong with ambition. I don't believe there's anything wrong with building a career or chasing a dream. In fact, I think those things can be incredibly meaningful. But I've also learned that success loses a little bit of its shine when you don't have anyone to celebrate it with. At the end of our lives, I doubt many of us will wish we'd answered a few more emails or spent another Saturday trying to catch up on paperwork that should have been done during the week. I think we'll remember the conversations we almost skipped, the birthdays we made time for, and the evenings we chose people over productivity. One of the greatest lessons I've learned came during the years I spent caring for my parents. Looking back now, I couldn't tell you every doctor's appointment or remember every medication schedule because those details, while they were incredibly important at the time, they just eventually faded into the background. What stayed with me were the moments in between. I can remember sitting in the living room talking about absolutely nothing and joking and watching TV together, just finding ways to make ordinary days feel a little bit lighter, even when life wasn't particularly easy. It's kind of funny how memories work because the moments that shape us the most rarely announce themselves while they're happening, and we've talked about that before. We tend to believe the memories we'll cherish forever will come from birthdays and vacations and that sort of thing. But oftentimes the moments that matter most are created during an unplanned conversation over dinner or a drive across town with the radio playing softly, or an evening doing nothing except just enjoying each other's company. We talked a lot in our last episode about how we never know when it's the last time we'll see somebody or hug somebody or have the last holiday with somebody. And maybe that's why this subject means so much to me. I know what it feels like to look back and realize that the moments I treasure most weren't big milestones. A lot of them were quiet moments that could have easily slipped past unnoticed. I've heard people say they wish they had more time for family, and I understand exactly what they mean because I've said it myself. But the older I've become, the more I've realized that finding time and making time are two completely different things. We rarely find time. We have to make it. We make time for doctor's appointments because they're important, and we make time for work because people are counting on us. We make time for paying bills because the consequences of ignoring them will eventually show up. So maybe the question we need to ask ourselves is whether we've started treating family as something we'll get to if there's any time left over, instead of something worthy of being placed on the calendar first. That doesn't mean every weekend has to involve a vacation or every evening has to become a carefully planned event. Some of my favorite memories were created during the simplest moments imaginable. Just sharing a meal together, or sitting outside on a summer evening, or just playing cards around the kitchen table. Those somehow became the moments that lasted much longer in my mind than the extensively planned out things I thought I'd remember forever. Family doesn't usually need perfection. They just need us. They need our attention and our laughter, and the feeling that, at least for a little while, nothing else in the world is more important than being together with them. I think the beauty in that is that that's something all of us are capable of giving, even if life feels overwhelmingly busy, because making memories isn't about waiting for the perfect opportunity, and it doesn't have to cost anything. It's about deciding that the people we love are worth protecting a little space in our schedule, even when everything else is asking for our attention. Sometimes the most meaningful thing we can say to the people we love isn't really even spoken out loud. Sometimes it's just simply being there. I'd like to take a quick break to thank and recognize today's sponsor, QR Hunter. And after we come back, we'll talk more about why family time matters and how we can intentionally create those moments in our lives. I'll be right back after this break. Are you ever bored and looking for something to do outside the same old, same old? QR Hunter has the ultimate creative solution for you that your friends, family, or little ones will love. QR Hunter is a build-your-own scavenger hunt game played on your mobile phone. Just purchase your QR Hunter official QR code tiles from Amazon. When your game tiles arrive, download the QR Hunter app on your mobile device, hide the QR code tiles in fun places around the house, outside, or wherever, and add the clues on how to find them in the app. You can include hints and pictures as well. Players compete to see who can get to the final clue in the least amount of time. When you're done with the hunt, just hide the codes in new places and start all over again. Guaranteed fun for any age. And if you play with the little ones, they will think they're getting screen time when really they're running around and getting exercise and using their problem-solving skills to solve the clues. It's a win-win. Purchase your copy of QR Hunter on Amazon today. Welcome back. While the commercial was playing, I found myself thinking about something that I don't believe we talk about often enough. We spend a lot of time worrying about whether we're physically together as a family, but we don't spend nearly as much time asking whether we're actually connecting with one another. Those two things also aren't always the same. It's entirely possible for everyone to be sitting in the same room while every person is somewhere else mentally. One person is answering work emails, someone else is scrolling through their social media, and another person has headphones on. And before long, we've all shared the same space for 2 hours without really sharing any part of ourselves. I'm certainly not pointing fingers because I've been just as guilty of it. Technology has made our lives easier in countless ways, and I wouldn't want to go back to a world without it. But I do think we've allowed convenience to quietly replace connection. Instead of asking each other how our day went, we send a text from the next room sometimes. Instead of laughing together over something silly, we each watch different videos that nobody else in the house ever sees. The strange part is that we can spend an entire evening entertaining ourselves and still go to bed feeling disconnected. It's like we've accidentally taught ourselves to mistake being occupied for being fulfilled, and those aren't the same things either. I've started believing that the greatest gift we can give the people we love isn't another purchase or another perfectly planned event. Sometimes the greatest gift is simply giving them our undivided attention. And that's a big deal in today's world. But when someone feels like they're the most important person in the room, even if it's just for a few minutes or an hour, they'll remember that feeling far longer than they'll remember anything you could buy them. That's why I don't think family memories have to be complicated. In fact, I think we often overcomplicate them. We imagine we need to plan an elaborate vacation or spend a lot of money before we can create meaningful experiences together, when the truth is that most of our favorite memories begin with someone saying, let's do something together. That can be almost anything. It can be cooking dinner together, or taking a walk, or playing cards, or turning an ordinary evening into something your family will talk about for years. And that's one of the reasons I genuinely like ideas like QR Hunter. Once the commercial is over, what sticks with me isn't simply that it's a game. It's that it gives families a reason to get up, laugh together, work together for a common goal, compete a little, and spend an hour making memories instead of watching other people make memories on a screen. Years from now, nobody's going to necessarily remember who found every QR code tile first. What they'll remember is that everybody was laughing, having a good time, and making memories together. What they'll remember is Dad insisting he knew exactly where the next clue was before walking confidently in the wrong direction. They'll remember the kids running through the house convinced they had solved the mystery first, and they'll remember the stories that somehow become funnier every time they're told. That's how family traditions begin. They rarely start with somebody saying, "Today we're going to make a lifelong memory." They usually start with someone simply deciding that tonight's going to be a little different and we're all going to do something together. The truth is, your real legacy will be the memories that you leave behind. Most of us spend a great deal of our lives trying to build something. We build careers, businesses, homes, wealth, retirement plans, and we do all this because we want the people we love to be taken care of long after we're gone. And I think that's a beautiful thing, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to provide for your family. At the same time, I've come to believe there's another kind of inheritance that's just as valuable, and it doesn't cost a single dollar. It's the stories your family tells about you years from now. Think about the people you've loved the most who are no longer here. Chances are the first thing that comes to mind isn't what they owned or how much money they made. You remember the way they laughed, the phrases they always used, the traditions they created without even realizing it, or even the little things that made them unmistakably themselves. That's the legacy people carry with them. Remembering my mom is a great example of this for me. I remember her because she found reasons to smile when life wasn't easy. And I remember her because we laughed together and made the best of difficult days. And because love was always present, even when circumstances weren't ideal. Those are the things that stay with us. The older I get, the more convinced I become that our families don't need us to create a perfect life for them. They simply need us to be a part of the life that we're already living. They don't expect perfection. They just hope we'll be there. Before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with one simple challenge. Sometime this week, choose an evening that belongs to your family and protect it the way you'd protect an important work meeting or a medical appointment. Turn off the notifications, put the phones away for a little while, and give the people you love the one thing they can never buy for themselves, your time. Because one day, years from now, nobody's going to ask how many emails you answered, how many hours you worked that week, or whether your house was perfectly organized. The people who love you will remember how you made them feel, and those ordinary evenings that seem so ordinary today may become the moments they treasure for the rest of their lives. Thank you so much for spending part of your time with me today. I never take your time for granted, and I'm grateful that you choose to spend a little bit of your time with me for every episode of this podcast. If today's episode made you think about somebody you love, don't just share this episode with them. Make sure you call or visit them. Make some plans together. Better yet, put your phone down after this episode ends and go see them if you can. I'm Corey Proffitt-Boyd, and until next time, keep taking care of yourself, keep taking care of each other, and as always, say it anyway.
Say it anyway. With Corey Proffitt-Boyd. Say it anyway. Say it anyway. With Corey Proffitt-Boyd. Say it